Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, The Lens of Truth with me, Ivan Florentino, and for today's video, I finally completed Sea of Stars. This is one of those anticipated RPGs, especially because it's an indie RPG. I wanted to support this game, and after close to 30 hours, I completed it, and here is my review. Before we get started though, hit that like button, ring the bell, and leave a comment. And let's get to it. So in this game, the players take control of two heroes named Valerie or Zale. They use the power of the sun and moon to fight against an alchemist. You decide between these two characters and it will not affect the story in the end. And this role-playing game was inspired by Illusion of Gaia, Breath of Fire, Super Mario RPG, but especially Chrono Trigger. Now these two warriors, Valerie and Zale, are Solstice warriors, and they have control over Eclipse Magic. They are the only ones who can defeat the Dwellers, which are monsters created by a godlike alchemist named the Fleshmancer. And they are accompanied by their childhood best friend, the warrior cook named Garo. Throughout this adventure, you will meet up with different party members that you can recruit. And I won't have any spoilers here. When it comes to the personalities of the two main characters, Valerie and Zale, they really are cool. I've seen a lot of reviews saying that they weren't developed enough and that they were kind of cookie cutter, but I disagree. You have to play this game from beginning to end to realize what each one is going through, especially with all the flashbacks that happen and just the dire circumstances that they're in, especially involving their best friend Garo, who I think is one of the most developed characters that I've seen in a long time for an RPG. When you guys play this game, you will know what I'm talking about. This game had so many twists and turns, but it also had some real life moments that were tearjerker ones that were very sad. And you guys just have to play this game in order to see that dynamic between this cool character. But just in general, this is a well-written RPG. So let's get the obvious out of the way, the visuals. This art style is absolutely gorgeous. The pixel art is next level. Look at the scrolling, look at the colors, look at the layering. It looks insane. Very, very beautiful. You can see the reflections in the water, the clouds scrolling by, and look at the animation of this huge Titan-like guardian. And the small details like the grass and flowers moving in the wind. This game makes a great first impression on the visuals alone. And not only does it look great on the big screen, it looks great on the Nintendo Switch OLED. It runs perfectly well, playing handheld mode with the bright colors, the blacks, and it's the perfect way to play these long RPGs to grind, and the pixel perfect graphics are amazing. But another thing that I noticed that's top tier quality and also reminiscent of the Super Nintendo, especially Chrono Trigger, is the music. And just listen to this music in the background with the flutes. Just the simple music in the background and makes you feel like you're on a grand adventure. If you guys are a fan of the Donkey Kong Country series, this feels reminiscent of that soundtrack. It just brought me back all those memories of great music by David Wise. And especially Donkey Kong Country 3, it reminded me of one of those levels where you're in the top of the mountains and it just feels like you're very isolated and just far away from civilization. It just sounds really, really catchy and very atmospheric. And in this part of the area, we do meet up with some pirates and they end up helping us go to a part of a cave where we encounter our first enemies, and it introduces us to the battle system. And in this beginning section of the area in this town, there's a lot of shops where you can buy items, even weapons. You can talk to a lot of the NPCs. You're able to equip items to boost your defense. So it does look like a traditional RPG with your standard fare of towns and people and things to do initially when you begin your adventure. And once our trio of heroes gets out of this little town, we get our first look at the overworld. And these cutscenes are full of personality, they're well animated, and keeps the story moving forward. And the puzzles were not hard at all, but they were very clever and creative. Nothing too hard where it makes you want to quit or anything like that, but they were very satisfying to complete. But so far from what I liked, this was pretty cool. The puzzles were pretty creative, and it makes a great first impression. Now if we go into the pause menu, there's a lot of information when it comes to movement, climbing, and other context sensitive things when you're in the overworld. But one of the main things that you can look up is the intricate battle system. So here you'll find everything from tips, all the skills you need, item explanation, combos, and just how everything works. So it's pretty handy just in case you forget how to do anything. But since we're here, let's talk about this interesting battle system. So this one, it does remind me of Chrono Trigger in the way that everything looks, but it's also a combination of the Mario and Luigi series. So this turn-based battle system works just like those. So every time you attack or use a special skill or magic attack, you have a chance to increase its damage by having a command button pressed at the right time to inflict more damage, or even when an enemy attacks, you have a chance to block it. So this makes it a lot more interesting than just choosing an attack and waiting for your turn to go by. This makes things a lot more interesting as you're able to increase damage, block, and it makes you be aware of the enemy attacks, makes it a bit more involved and a bit more action oriented. And after a battle, you get to choose how you want to level up, whether it's your physical defense, physical attack, mana points, and hit points. So you have several options. And another thing that you'll notice is how seamless you transition into the battlefield, where you see an enemy and that's going to be your entire battlefield, so it's very quick. And there's no separate screen that loads in or out. It's pretty cool how it just happens in the exact same area that you're at. And one of the cool details you'll notice is that the UI is not overly complicated. There's not a lot of things going on with a lot of numbers, but you'll also get to see how many turns are left per enemy. You get to see your characters, their HP, their magic points, and also a small window where you can use your attacks, skills, items, and even when to combo. And what I liked about it, because everything looks so flashy and colorful, everything is just very exciting to do and to pull off. And just to summarize, I wanted to throw in these animated cutscenes that are dispersed throughout the adventure. These are gorgeous. I was surprised of how many they were, although they weren't too long. But man, you can just tell the amount of work and detail that went into these. They look so good. For my final thoughts, this is a highly recommended indie game. Go ahead and support it. There is a full demo that's less than 2 hours on the Nintendo Switch eShop. Go ahead and check it out and give it a shot. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you later. Bye.